Power. First of all, we all need to correctly understand what power is, and more importantly, where all power actually comes from. So what is power? Well, government is said to hold the power, and that means that government is actually responsible for those who it represents, for those who actually voted that said government into power. Therefore, power is in fact responsibility, and responsibility is power. Now, as ultimately all responsibility rests with the individual, and not with the state, not with the government, government does not in fact have any power, other than the power that the people abdicate to it through the action of having voted for it. You see, by choosing to vote to place another individual into a position of power over you, into a position within government, you are in fact handing over full responsibility for your own life to that other individual. You are in fact handing over all of your God-given power. A decision that is by far one of the greatest decisions that you will ever have to make in your lifetime. A decision that depends very highly on not only the quality but also the reliability of the individual that you choose to represent you within government. A decision that could either end up becoming one of the best, or, as is almost always the case with politicians and government, the worst that you will ever make. A decision that could well result in you either having to suffer a large amount of pain, as is again almost always the case with politicians and government, or indeed you may enjoy a great deal of success, both in a personal and monetary sense. Now, based upon what I've already told you about power and responsibility, there are two further things that you need to correctly understand. The first being that historically, all forms of government eventually let those who they are responsible for down in one way or another, and it is never an enjoyable experience. That is just the reality of the situation, as almost all politicians are themselves self-serving. They are not in fact in power to serve those who actually voted for them. Hence exactly why you see one electioneering promise after another being broken by most politicians once they have eventually gained power. Secondly, you also need to know a good, honest politician when you see one. A politician who, ironically, is almost always not in fact a politician at all. A politician who constantly works to undermine the power of government. Something that is of course achieved by actively working to dismantle the bureaucratic structure within a government, so in turn helping to reduce the size of government along with all of those burdens that are associated with it. You see, by actively working to undermine the bureaucratic structure within any government, and so in turn reducing the size of that government, all power is inevitably transferred back into the hands of the people, where of course it rightly belongs. I thank you for your valuable time. Andrew.